Reddit talks, Reddit talks, Reddit talks, Reddit talks, Reddit talks. How did a student at your school get suspended? When I was in 7th grade, one of the 8th graders at my school, a bratty, always got her way, daddy's girl type, baked dog shit in some brownies, and brought them to the office for teacher/staff appreciation day. Everybody ate some portion of it, but they agreed that it didn't quite taste right. Many got sick. Daddy's girl got suspended for the remainder of the school year. She's lucky she didn't go to jail. Yeah, she was of course a minor, and that was the only thing on her official record. I guess it was amounted to just stupid kid stuff without understanding the full consequences. How did they prove it was dog shit? She couldn't keep it to herself and told some friends, and within a couple of hours someone with a conscience told the faculty. I don't know if they proved it was from a dog. That's what she was telling people though. I used to be in a science class with a guy that was the worst. Constantly rude to everyone, generally just a bully. One day, I was sitting next to him, and we started arguing. Can't even remember why, but most likely he was probably being rude again. He ended up getting really spiteful and said something to me along the lines of "I'm going to burn your dad's grave." My dad had passed around a year earlier. Long story short, I got up, punched him in the face until a teacher had to drag me off him. I'm a petite woman. He was about 6 feet, so puts into perspective how angry I was. Later on during the day, I was taken out of class and got told the guy got suspended immediately for 5 days because of what he said. The best part is I was only given a 20-minute after school detention, pretty much because the teacher said they can't let me go around punching people, which is obviously fair enough. After this, word got out on what had happened and what he said to me. For the rest of the year he was known as the dude who got a black eye from a small 5ft4 girl, and also generally a piece of sh*t for what he said. I don't condone violence and definitely am not a violent person, but I was pretty upset about my dad dying, and some random guy disrespecting him like that. I like to think my dad would be proud of that moment though. This was 7th grade I think. A kid beckons a bunch of us over to his locker for some reason. It turns out, he has a massive stack of porn magazines and is trying to sell them for $1 or 2 a piece or something like that. Of course, having 30 kids huddled around your locker during the 5-minute intermission between classes is bound to draw some attention. A teacher came up and just shook his head and signed. The kid tried to say he didn't know it was against the rules, but the teacher obviously wasn't having it. He made the kid put the magazines in his backpack and walked him to the principal's office. I didn't see that kid again for months. This wasn't his first entrepreneurial venture on school grounds. He had tried to sell gum, drinks, snacks, knives, anything he could get his grubby mitts on. He once bought out all of the pencils and pens from the school supply vending machine and tried to upcharge for them. The kid just loved money. My cousin pulled the cord on that shower in the chemistry room. Turns out that it will not stop once you pull it. It dumped 300 gallons of water out and flooded the ROTC room, which was 1 floor down. At one of our schools, the chemistry room is above the library. Someone had turned on the eye wash station and left it over the weekend. They didn't ever install the drain pipe in that room, and it ended up draining down into the library. It ruined a bunch of books and iMacs. The drop ceiling collapsed too. Funny thing is, this wasn't the first time this happened. It happened again a few years prior and they didn't bother to get the drain pipe installed. One guy once threw a book out of the window. The weirdest part was that he wasn't suspended for that bit. He got suspended because he could have hurt someone. One kid broke dress code every day by wearing cowboy boots, occasionally a hat, and in general a whole cowboy getup, and also brought alcohol to school multiple times. Icon. He said the N-word to an elderly African American teacher and tried to cover it up, but everybody knew what he said. Long story short, he was suspended for a week, but it was in Texas so nobody really cared. Wow, that's terrible. He ran behind an old lady in a park with his pants down while we were supposed to jog. Smashing an iPad screen on a radiator corner. Some idiot pissed in someone's water bottle. Loud sniff. Everyone turns around to see this guy. He sat in the last row, coming up with white powder on his nose. Teacher saw him too. He had managed to do cocaine off the hole in the desk where you're supposed to store books and shit. Suspended for a week. Some kid who was waiting for the late bus the day before Christmas break decided to leave cartons of milk everywhere, in lockers, inside the vents. A few he poured down tubers and trombones. Came back. The whole school smelled like Satan's asshole after eating 5 ultra spicy dishes from Taco Bell. I don't live in a shithole country where children are denied education if they misbehave, so I've never even heard of students getting suspended here. Finland. How do they get disciplined instead? With love. The best kind of discipline. Most never even need to be disciplined, but usually just detention. A few of my acquaintances got in school suspension last year for posting memes about the assistant principal online. For the record, the school didn't actually catch them. Someone that didn't like the kid snitched on them, from what I know. Called in a false bomb threat using the school payphone, but left his wallet right by the payphone with his school ID in it. He didn't even try to claim the wallet was stolen when the cops found it. In middle school we had a kid suspended for convincing a special needs kid to run headfirst into a door. The special needs kid hit his head on the edge of the push bar that opens the door, and he ended up cutting himself. He apparently was looking at porn on the bus. This was in 6th grade. As a senior prank, a kid threw a watermelon at the ground and then got expelled. It was like the 3rd to last day of school for him too. He brought weed into the school inside of his pencil pouch. Kid wrote some joke with the N-word on some paper and handed it to another kid. Both were glaringly white. Kid airdropped a shirtless pic to someone's parent. Kid got in school suspension for getting kicked out of class 10 times. Kid took another kid off campus, but in sight of principal to sell him some shoes. Kid brought alcohol to school and drank it with friends between classes. Same kid did the same thing again. Got caught again. Kids punched each other. Nobody really hurt. Other kids got expelled for fighting, so that one got injured. When I was in 7th grade at a super private school, a kid, sort of friend of mine, got taken out of class by an officer. Turned out he had a doggy bag of weed in his locker. I asked to go to the bathroom just in time to watch him get handcuffed and drive away in a cop car. An 11-year-old got caught smoking weed in the bathroom. Edit. In 2005. Suspended for not showing up. Turns out he suicided himself over the weekend and his tweaker parents didn't even notice. First, he pissed on the bus ramp during school. His first day back from that suspension, he pulled a fire alarm. Never saw him again. Kindergarten. This kid with Asperger's was having issues with their temper. Our teacher had little to no concept of how to control the situation, and she just let this kid go APESH*** and tear up the entire rec room as the other kindergartners watched. Paint was spilled, toys were broken, chairs were flipped. The kid was eventually left to his own devices and his mom picked him up from school in the exact same room, but apparently blamed it on the teacher rather than her kid's uncontrollable temper. He was gone from school for about 2 days. 12 years later, and I'd say I don't have that bad of a temper anymore, but my mother still blames the situation on my kindergarten teacher. In my freshman year, while on the way to state choir contest, a kid in my grade was suspended for peeing in an empty water bottle on the bus because they weren't allowed to make stops. Fast forward to senior year, at the spring choir concert, where seniors are honored and recognized, the choir director pointed out how much the kid had grown as a person throughout high school, then handed him an empty water bottle. We had a guy in our high school that was a little violent and absent from the class most of the time. We also had a teacher that had some mental problems. She was talking to herself, having arguments with students that weren't even in class, etc. One day as we were leaving the classroom, the guy pushed the teacher out of the way and she ended up falling, hitting her head on a desk and breaking her 3 front teeth. He got suspended for pushing her. Kid got caught selling nudes of his mother at school. So we all have this kid in our classes. Cocky, a few fries short of a happy meal, acts like he knows everything, late to class, gets sent to the principal every day, yeah I know who it is. Takes the teacher's coffee and runs outside and dumps it out. Didn't see him for a few days. His reasoning was that if students don't get coffee, why should they? Those few days were amazing without him. Another time I reported some girls with a vape device in the locker room. They were also sharing pills. Busted. I also reported a kid on the bus vaping. Busted. Don't vape.